UFC Hall of Famer who beat Nate Diaz sets unwanted record in 63rd MMA bout at UFC 310. Clay Guida has set a very unwanted record at UFC 310. Guida, who has the fourth most appearances in the organization's history, competed in his 37th UFC bout against Chase Hooper on Saturday night. He was submitted by 25-year-old Hooper in the first round of his UFC 310 early prelims fight. The 42-year-old was part of a stacked prelims card that featured two Jon Jones title rivals in Dominic Reyes and Anthony Smith battling it out in the octagon. Former UFC bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling faced Russia's undefeated Movsar Evloev, while another ex-title holder in Chris Weidman lost to Eric Anders. UFC 310's prelims featured so many exciting bouts that former middleweight champion Michael Bisping, who is now serving as a UFC pundit, said it could be the company's best ever set of early bouts. The main event at UFC 310 had Alexander Pantoja defend his flyweight belt against debutant Kai Asakura, and Ian Machado Gary challenge Shavkat Rakhmonov in the co-main bout. Guida has a staggering 18 victories in the UFC, but now has one extra defeat on his record. His 18 losses were tied with Jeremy Stevens for the most in UFC history before Saturday night. But now, the Carpenter's armbar submission loss at UFC 310 means he has now endured the most UFC defeats of all time. Guida made his UFC debut all the way back in 2006 and has fought some of the company's biggest stars, including Nate Diaz, Charles Oliveira, Jim Miller and Anthony Pettis. The MMA legend beat a 24-year-old Diaz at UFC 94, winning the pair's clash in January 2009 via split decision. He was submitted by UFC's longest-serving fighter Miller, who is the only man to have competed in more UFC lightweight bouts, in August 2019. Guida's best-ever octagon performance arguably came against Diego Sanchez 15 years ago in the Ultimate Fighter's 2009 finale. The fight is one of only 6 bouts to have been inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame as both men went to war in an all-time classic. Guida's first round with Sanchez is regarded as one of the greatest opening rounds of all time, after both fighters traded several blows and the former was flattened with a brutal head kick. UFC commentator Joe Rogan was in complete shock at how Guida was able to stay on his feet, saying the Illinois native had one hell of a chin and a tremendous heart. Guida fought back in the second round and even landed a takedown as he attempted to even the score with some aggressive ground and pound. But it would be his American counterpart who gained the split decision victory after a competitive round 3 proved yet again how fierce Guida was. In his performance, the UFC Hall of Famer has also landed 78 takedowns, the fourth most in UFC history, with Georges St-Pierre, current bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili and Gleison Tibau the only 3 ahead of him.